2025 was devastating for the world of crypto gaming. There's no shock there. So many projects went out of business this year. We saw so much promise in 2021 and 2022, had so much hype, but this year was nothing but graveyards, abandoned discords, things like that. So we're now sitting at an interesting time. Is it, things are dead, lights out, or is it the phoenix rising from the ashes moment? As we've seen back from the dot-com bubble, so many things, projects can die down, figure out their mistakes, and then are things over, or do they grow from here? Well, in this video, we're going to dive into why those 90 to 95% of crypto games died, why a lot of people are no longer interested in the world of crypto gaming, but what we're seeing, and it's so nice to see in the final quarter of 2025, some games are starting to get it, see what they need to do, and we are early days and they've still got the longevity to make the quarter. So in this video, we're going to be covering the 5 games that were actually able to tweak their strategy, listen to the players, listen to the community, and actually have the games focus on what they needed to be focusing on during this harsh turmoil so they can rise like phoenix from the ashes. But first, let's actually take a moment and look at why did so many games fail, what were they doing wrong, and what should games developing now really look out for. Like we were saying, in 2025, just so much fell apart. In fact, one of our favorite games was actually Neon Heroes. We had many talks with the game founders, got involved in their really early playtests, NFTs, playing the game, and even though sure we've been supporting the project for a long time, just playing the game, it was actually so much fun to play. But from the finance side, they didn't have what they needed to do or see the longevity. So even though they raised over $13 million and had over 250,000 people on their wish list, they did successful playtests, token airdrops, and built a community, but they still had to close their doors, citing lack of funding, and just like that, it was over for them. Another one is Ember Sword. This one received 200 million in pledges and they still couldn't survive 2025. The team blamed funding and market conditions as well, but there were some internal problems too. But the overarching theme for those teams that did launch a token is everything was built on maximum extraction from the token, and in this case from the community's hands, because most ecosystems were built to reward yourselves by getting money, i.e. in this case like a stable coin, putting it out into US dollars, and how you did that wasn't through an internal game loop that rewarded in US dollars or what have you. It was actually selling the in-game token. And anytime you have an economy, a circular economy, it has to have things running through it, rewards within the token ecosystem, and then as a separate distribution, if the team wants from their marketing budget or something like that, they can distribute to players. However, when you have the purpose of a token, which was said to be something in-game, actually is to be purposely sold to the market to earn your money, the project is just doomed for failure. And then not only that, the massive blow off top in 2021 gaming, so many people thought you could just keep on running coins like that. However, once it has billions of dollars of valuation, when the game might only be worth like $20 million for what they've built, there is a lot of X's to go down, and unfortunately the community suffers. So not only were the teams destroying their own treasuries, the system that was created was actually taking money from their gamers, and so much more money that gamers would normally pay for even buying a game, so it was destroying both sides. So now that we've covered why 90-95% of these games have failed, let's dive into the outliers, the ones that are here to prove the test of time and come back strong in 2026. And first on our list is one of those behemoths from 2021. They were able to absorb all the pain with the funding they still had, and now are building for an even stronger economy, and that is Axie Infinity. This one has been built as a proper comeback story. Most people expected Axie to die after the 2021 collapse and the SLP hyperinflation destroying the entire model. This caused the player base to crash hard, but as we can see, Axie is still here. It's all about the passion from the developers and the hardcore community members. In countries like the Philippines and Venezuela, Axie has been part of people's lives. The emotional connection kept the fire burning even when the financials didn't make sense. Sky Mavis, the team behind Axie, didn't abandon ship, they kept shipping updates. Axie Origins revamped the battle system, Axie Homeland added base building and resource management, and they're even working on an MMO called Atia's Legacy.
How we're approaching the development of the MMO is we want to build the endgame first, validate that, and test that before we go and build the kind of meat and potatoes aspects of the game.
And during these past few years, the Axie world slowly shifted away from the play-to-earn model and now play-to-own approach. Players now focus on collecting, battling, and actually enjoying the game. And at the end of the day, that's going to be a theme here. It seems funny to say, but actually focusing on enjoying the game instead of crazy market dynamics is what'll keep players coming back for more. If you think of playing one of those old school Pokemon games on the Game Boy or something like that, you were there just to have a fun time gaming, maybe some bragging rights with your friends, and you were putting those grinding hours in because you felt rewarded from leveling up your Pokemon, catching rares, and things like that. And all that to say, this doesn't mean that earning money from games is dead. It's definitely not. Like people in the Philippines or Venezuela, if they want to play games and earn money, the potential is still there. It just has to be executed properly, where the players are rewarded through a correct ecosystem, not where it's just selling a token and killing the game's economy. Next up, we have Illuvium, and this game brings on a whole other level of survival story. This team and game has been through so many changes since their blockbuster performance of the massive token appreciation in 2021. Since then, they've had fans absolutely loving them, all of a sudden absolutely hating them, the community fighting back saying this is not what we wanted, what's going on. Then Kieran, we had a great interview with him. He had a moment to reflect with his whole team. They had to downsize a bit, things were scary, decided to pivot to an MMO Lite earlier, and what they decided to do finally won the community back.
And I still think it was the wrong idea to launch. I wish we didn't, and we just built it up, even to the point where we are now, where there is multiplayer, there is combat, and like not ready yet, but you know, at a good enough stake. And we succumbed to that pressure and we released it, and it was our worst nightmare.
Now, this was a scary time for Illuvium, but it seems like they're over the biggest hurdle. They're working together as a cohesive team and getting along with the community, and it's so nice to see the community started to come back. When Illuvium Overworld launched, it was a creature collecting RPG. You explored an alien planet, collected alluvials, and used them in the arena auto battler. Visually, it's stunning, but the game felt empty. There was no storyline, no progression, and once you captured enough creatures for your arena team, there was really no reason to come back in the game. But instead of giving up, like we said, the Illuvium team pivoted to that MMO Lite and tried to come up with a complete rebuild built for having fun and with their community in mind. Throughout 2025, Illuvium shifted to real-time action combat with dodge mechanics, skill trees, and actual boss fights. They added Leviathan raids, guild systems, and player-driven economies. The creature capture mechanic got reworked into a skill-based minigame. Illuvium also brought in two seasoned directors, Stephen Clark from EVE Online and Trevor Huey from World of Warcraft for the rebuilds, and closed player tests are currently underway for Illuvium Overworld. Illuvium also made smart business moves outside of the game too, as they launched staking on Base, Coinbase's Layer 2. They also launched a professional esports league with a $250,000 prize pool, which attracted a lot of competitive interest to the game. This one is a great example of just looking yourself in the mirror, realizing things aren't going how you thought they would. You have to make a pivot or your game is toast. And they did the necessary hard decisions to make it happen, and we can't wait to see what they come up with in 2026. For the next game on this list, it's a bit of a newer one, but they come from a massive game studio in Germany, and that is Off the Grid by Gunzilla. And coming with an already established game studio, this was the first team to actually get Web 2 interest over into Web 3 gaming. And they did this by showcasing some of gaming's biggest streamers. They had people like Ninja, Tim the Tatman, Scump, so many more actually paid to live stream their game. And what's great about this is Ninja and all these people had a lot of fun playing the game and got a massive amount of Web 2 players in. Now, while it was great, they were expecting the early access play to go even deeper. Unfortunately, gamers in this type of game with a battle royale style like this want a bit more, so things have died off a bit. However, this is still an early game, but given that it's an early game, it's so much fun. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely play this one because you'll have a great time. The key for Off the Grid is it didn't force crypto down anyone's throat. You didn't need a wallet to play or tokens to continue playing. Just sign on like you would with Call of Duty. The core third-person battle royale experience is strong. It feels like Apex Legends or Warzone with extra tech. People stuck around because it was fun, and Gunzilla Games definitely kept delivering post-launch. They added solo modes, new cyber limbs, seasonal events, and content packs with esport legends like Scump. They also showcased how much they cared about gaming in general, since they acquired Game Informer, the legendary gaming publication that had to shut down, and they brought it back to life. This move increased the dev's reputation quite a bit, and traditional gamers were quite happy to see it. So although their token's not doing so hot right now, no one else's is either. Not just in crypto gaming, all of crypto is down right now. But at the end of the day, this team keeps delivering, building an even more epic game, and it's not even the full version yet. We definitely can't wait to see what happens with Off the Grid, because if you're into battle royales, extraction shooters, it is honestly really good. Then coming up next, we have Alien Worlds. Now, this one might be not as well known, but they've been quietly chugging along and building since 2021. Accessibility and consistency are two of the main reasons why Alien Worlds survived all these years. It's great because it runs entirely in browser, no downloads, no complicated setups. You just jump in, connect your wallet, and start mining Trillium within minutes. The barrier to entry is almost zero. You just need a tiny bit of crypto knowledge, and that's why millions of people gave this one a shot. The gameplay is straightforward. Since it's a mining simulator, you simply click, mine tokens, and you use those to upgrade tools, buy land, or participate in governance. And there's also missions for additional variety. And what's great about Alien Worlds, it was never that crypto bro, when Lambo, when Moon, things like that. They developed the game. They didn't come up with some AAA trailer that was 7 years ahead of time. They just built a mining game for the people that like that style of game. And for our final game on this list, we have Pixels. Now, Pixels is a really cool story because I think they define what it is to build a sustainable Web3 game without relying on all the gimmicks or a major hype cycle. Pixels instead focused on being a cozy farm simulator with amazing social features for their community. You gather resources, craft items, expand your land, and interact with other players in real time. It's Stardew Valley meets RuneScape with blockchain elements. The social layer in this one was just so cleverly put in. It really gives the community a reason to keep coming back, meeting their friends, and working on things together.
Pixels has been pretty event driven for a long time. We love live ops and we love throwing like holiday themed events. We love throwing community themed events. We like having fun with these.
Unlike single player farming games, Pixels just feels more alive. You see other players working on their farms the same time as you join guilds, you participate in seasonal events together, and throughout 2025, Pixels actually expanded smartly too. They launched Pixels Dungeon, a separate dungeon crawling experience. They also brought in Pixel Pals, a Tamagotchi style companion in the game, and they even partnered with projects like Sleepagotchi with plenty of other in-game events. The developers also took time to understand their tokenomics. They introduced vPixel, a staking token that reduced sell pressure on the main Pixel token. They shifted from guaranteed earnings to competitive faction-based rewards. Instead of guaranteeing everyone wins, they introduced competition. Winning factions get big rewards, losing factions get nothing. The reason Pixel survived is because they built a real game with real retention mechanics, and they didn't rely on token farming to keep people interested. And along with that, we got to talk to their founder Luke, and he focused on why bots are so devastating to their economies, and they built a system to completely get rid of bots as best you could out of any other game. And why this is important is because they only have a limited marketing budget, and instead of going to all kinds of bots spread across the world, they're actually able to give it to the true players so the players themselves feel even more rewarded. And it looks like that's going to be a big focus for so many people in 2026 is how do we reward our actual players, not bots and things like that. But I think the key takeaway from this video is unfortunately some founders and teams got sucked up into the hype cycles, relying on that instead of focusing on the best sustainable economy for themselves. But so many lessons were learned, and now I think 2026 and 2027 will be the years for crypto gaming to start to make its comeback, and you'll definitely see it from the communities growing and the games getting bigger because finally they've had the time they've needed to do so. But in the meantime, what are your thoughts on the whole world of crypto gaming? Do you have any other games that we haven't mentioned that you think have great promise? Let us know. We'll dive in, we'll cover them. We'll also talk to their project founders. So if you have questions on those games, let us know below as well. And if you're looking for a new game to play, Fungible Games is a discovery platform. We have over 600 titles, breaking news, interviews from project founders, and so much more. So definitely check it out at fungible.games. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and we'll see you in the next video.